It was supposed to be a calm morning flight. Flight 309 from London to New York. The sky was crystal blue and the sunrise painted the horizon gold. Passengers were settling in, flight attendants were smiling, and the engines hummed steadily. Among them sat Ava Carter, a 25-year-old aviation engineering student returning home after a week-long seminar. She always loved airplanes, the smell of fuel, the echo of jet engines, and the invisible rhythm of the sky. Inside the cockpit, Captain Reynolds, a 52-year-old veteran pilot with 30 years of flying experience, adjusted his headset while co-pilot Mason Lee ran through the final checklist. Everything seemed routine. Ava fastened her seatbelt, opened her laptop, and smiled as she looked outside, the plane slicing through the clouds like a silver arrow. 2 hours into the flight, the calm changed. A strange sound came from the cockpit. A muffled thud followed by silence. Then came the ding of the intercom. Passengers turned their heads, waiting for an announcement. None came. A flight attendant, Sarah, rushed toward the cockpit door, knocked, and called, "Captain Reynolds?" No answer. She tried again, louder. Still silence. Moments later, Mason Lee opened the door. His face was pale. He whispered something to Sarah, something that made her eyes widen in fear. Captain Reynolds had collapsed. Sarah tried to stay composed as she moved through the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced shakily, "we are experiencing a minor medical situation with our captain. Please remain calm." But inside the cockpit, Mason's hands were trembling. He was trained, yes, but his co-pilot's oxygen mask wasn't working properly, and his vision was beginning to blur too. Within minutes, both pilots were down. The plane flew on autopilot, slicing through 37,000 feet of sky, but no one was truly flying it. Ava, seated near the front, noticed the tension. The cabin lights flickered. Passengers whispered nervously. Then came Sarah's trembling voice again. "Is anyone here with flying experience?" Ava's heart pounded. Her father had been a flight instructor. She'd spent hours in simulators. She knew the basics, but this was real. She took a deep breath, stood up, and raised her hand. "I know how to fly," she said softly. All eyes turned toward her. That was the moment everything changed. Sarah guided Ava into the cockpit. The smell of metal, sweat, and panic filled the air. The captain was slumped over the controls, breathing faintly. The co-pilot was semi-conscious, trying to mumble coordinates. Ava's eyes darted across the glowing panels. Altitude, speed, autopilot, engaged. She'd only seen this in simulators, but her mind raced through the procedures she'd memorized years ago. She grabbed the intercom. "This is Ava Carter. I need immediate contact with air traffic control." Her voice trembled, but it was steady enough. Static crackled, then a deep voice replied, "Flight 309, this is London Control." "Identify yourself." "The pilots are both down," Ava said. "I'm not a pilot, I'm a student. But I can try." For a moment, the world went silent. Then came the calm reply. "Okay, Ava, we're going to help you bring that bird home." The cabin behind her had fallen silent too. People prayed. A mother clutched her baby. An old man wept quietly. Ava took control of the yoke, her palms slick with sweat. "Let's start by checking the autopilot." The controller guided. She followed every instruction, holding altitude, stabilizing thrust, keeping the wings level. Minutes turned into an hour. Her focus was razor sharp, but the pressure was inhuman. At one point, a sudden warning beep echoed. The right engine's temperature was spiking. Ava's heartbeat surged. "Engine 2 is overheating," she shouted. "Reduce throttle to 60%, the voice commanded. The aircraft shuddered but held. Ava's grip tightened. "Doing good, Ava. You're doing really good," the controller said. Outside, the sky had turned orange, sunset over the Atlantic. But time was running out. The autopilot couldn't stay forever, and both pilots were unresponsive. Ava knew. It was all on her now. "Flight 309, this is New York Approach Control," the new voice said. "We're clearing you for emergency landing." Ava nodded, her eyes fixed ahead. The coastline was faintly visible, tiny lights glowing in the distance, but fuel was low. The left indicator blinked red. "New York, this is Ava. We're low on fuel and losing hydraulic pressure." "Understood. We'll guide you straight in." The cabin lights flickered again. Sarah moved down the aisle, holding passengers' hands, whispering, "We're almost there." Ava lowered the landing gear lever. Nothing happened. She tried again. Still nothing. Her heart sank. Control, gears not responding. Static. Then, "Ava, we'll do a manual release." Her hands trembled as she reached under the panel, pulling the emergency lever. The sound of metal creaked. The gear unlocked with a thud. Relief flooded her chest. "Landing gear down," she cried. Then came the hardest part. Descent. "Ease the throttle." 10 degrees nose down, the controller said calmly. The lights of JFK Airport grew larger, runway lights like a silver river in the dark. Ava guided the aircraft down, her voice shaking. Flaps full. Speed 160. She could hear her heartbeat louder than the engines. Then, in a jolt. Turbulence hit. The aircraft rocked violently. Passengers screamed, "Stay with me, Ava," Control shouted. She fought the yoke, adjusting pitch, leveling the wings. Speed 140, altitude 1,000 feet. Her breathing was rapid. Sweat dripped into her eyes. 300 feet. 200. 100. Then, thump! The plane touched down. Tires screeched. Smoke billowed. The plane swayed, but it stayed on the runway. Ava cut the throttle, slammed the brakes, and the jet came to a shuddering stop. Silence. Then, thunderous applause from the cabin. She had done it. The cabin doors opened to flashing lights and rescue teams rushing in. Passengers hugged each other, tears streaming down their faces. Ava sat frozen in the cockpit, staring at the controls. Her hands were still shaking. A paramedic entered, checking the pilots, and both alive, breathing weakly, likely victims of food poisoning. Sarah hugged Ava tightly. "You saved all of us," she whispered. Outside, reporters were already gathering. The world would soon hear about the 25-year-old woman who landed a passenger jet with no pilot. Hours later, at the hospital, Captain Reynolds awoke. His first words were hoarse. "Who landed the plane?" When he heard her name, he smiled faintly. "You've got the heart of a pilot." Within a week, Ava's story went viral. News channels called it the miracle landing. Aviation schools offered her scholarships. Airlines invited her to join their training programs. But when a reporter asked her how she did it, Ava only said one thing. "I didn't do it alone. I had hundreds of hearts praying behind me." The footage of her calm voice in the cockpit, her trembling hands guiding the aircraft, and the final touchdown became an internet sensation. Millions watched in awe. And somewhere in the sky, a new dream was born. Ava Carter wasn't just a passenger anymore. She was the girl who defied fear, gravity, and fate, and changed aviation history forever.